The Emperor in the Night. It is the dead of night in a Roman military camp, far from the marble splendor of Rome, at the edge of a restless empire. The year is 174 AD. The cold clings to the earth like a second skin, and a damp wind carries the distant cries of soldiers keeping watch along the frontier. Torches sputter, casting long, uncertain shadows against rows of weather-beaten tents. Beyond the campfires lie forests filled with hostile tribes who wait, watching, hungry for Rome's weakness. Inside one of the tents, lit only by a flickering oil lamp, sits the most powerful man in the world. He is no longer young. His face is lined with care, his body heavy with fatigue. This is Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, commander of legions, ruler of millions. To his people, he is a godlike figure. To himself, in this solitary hour, he is simply a man carrying a burden few could endure. The empire is bleeding. His armies have repelled yet another incursion by the Germanic tribes, but the price of victory has been staggering, thousands of men dead, supplies dwindling, morale fragile. A plague ravages the cities and villages of Rome, striking down rich and poor alike. In the Senate, whispers of doubt and betrayal circle like vultures. And within his own flesh, Marcus feels the ache of sickness, the weariness of a body worn down by years of toil and grief. Another emperor might have drowned such misery in wine, or summoned musicians, dancers, and banquets to drown out the silence. But not Marcus. Instead, he reaches for a simple wax tablet and a stylus. His hand trembles as he writes, not speeches for the Senate, not commands for his generals, not proclamations for the empire. These words are for no one but himself. They are reminders. Reminders to endure. Reminders to stay just. Reminders to be a man of virtue in a world unraveling into chaos. Centuries later, these private notes would be collected into a book we now call Meditations, a book never meant for public eyes, yet one that has outlived kingdoms and religions, carried across nearly 2,000 years of human history. And what do those words tell us? That the greatest battle Marcus Aurelius ever fought was not against the barbarians at the border, but against the turmoil in his own mind. The mirror of our lives. Now turn from that tent to your own life. You may not command legions or govern provinces, but you fight your own wars every day. Wars against stress, anxiety, betrayal, disappointment, fear of the future. You live in a world of endless distraction, where glowing screens demand your attention, where success is measured in numbers, likes, followers, promotions, while tragedy and disaster scroll past your eyes before breakfast. It feels, at times, as though life itself conspires to scatter your focus, exhaust your spirit, and drain your strength. But what if the wisdom of that weary emperor, riding by candlelight at the edge of a crumbling empire, could guide you now? What if the lessons of Stoicism, the philosophy Marcus lived by, could help you find clarity, calm, and courage in the chaos of modern life? For Stoicism is not the philosophy of armchair scholars. It was born on battlefields, in marketplaces, in prisons, in the quiet chambers of rulers and slaves alike. It is practical, severe, and battle-tested. Its promise is simple: you cannot control the world, but you can control yourself. Marcus Aurelius lived this truth. He endured famine, plague, invasion, betrayal. He buried 8 of his children. He bore the weight of Rome on his shoulders. And yet, history remembers him not as a tyrant drunk on power, not as a man crushed by grief, but as one of the wisest leaders the world has ever known, the last of Rome's 5 good emperors. Why? Because when power tempted him, he chose humility. When grief overwhelmed him, he chose perspective. When fear threatened him, he chose courage. He governed an empire, yes, but first, and most importantly, he governed himself. Why Marcus speaks to us. When you read his words today, you discover something startling: the struggles of a Roman emperor are the same struggles we face. The enemies are different, but the heart of the battle is unchanged. He fought against despair, fear, anger, desire, and weakness, just as we do. Your deadlines may not be Germanic invasions. Your financial struggles may not be plagues. But the human heart is the same, restless and searching. And what Marcus Aurelius left behind are not dusty relics of a forgotten age, but tools, sharp, practical, enduring tools, for life. 5 Lessons from Marcus Aurelius. From his writings, we can uncover lessons that, if applied, reshape not just how we think, but how we live. Train your perception, learn to see the world clearly, without distortion, so nothing can shatter your peace. Control your emotions, do not let anger, envy, or fear rule you, respond with reason instead of reaction. Distinguish what you can control, focus on your thoughts and actions, not on what lies beyond your power. Live by virtue, root your life in wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, qualities no misfortune can take away. See the bigger picture, place your struggles against the vastness of time and nature, and realize how small they truly are. By the end of this journey, Marcus Aurelius ceases to be a distant figure in marble statues. He becomes a mentor, a guide, a voice whispering across centuries: be calm. Be just. Be steadfast. Endure. The tent and the tablet. Picture it once more, the cold night, the restless camp, the weary emperor alone in his tent. He could have surrendered to despair. Instead, he took up his tablet and wrote words to steady himself. 2,000 years later, those words can steady you. The truth Marcus Aurelius discovered is as urgent now as it was then. The greatest empire you will ever rule is not over nations, not over wealth, not over others. It is over yourself. A boy destined for more. Marcus Aurelius was not born an emperor. On April 26, 121 AD, he entered the world in Rome, the bustling heart of an empire that stretched from the deserts of Egypt to the cold hills of Britannia. His family was noble but not imperial, respected but not untouchable. His father, Marcus Annius Verus, died when Marcus was only 3. From that moment, the boy would be raised largely by his mother, Domitia Lucilla, and by his grandfather, figures who instilled in him values that no palace or power could ever buy. Even as a child, Marcus displayed qualities that marked him apart. Where other boys sought games, spectacle, and indulgence, Marcus sought quiet, study, and simplicity. He preferred plain garments to silks, modest meals to feasts, and hours alone with scrolls and teachers over the bustling social life of the aristocracy. It was his grandfather, also Marcus Annius Verus, who recognized the boy's potential. He ensured that Marcus received the finest education Rome could offer, including lessons from philosophers, rhetoricians, and statesmen. Among them was Junius Rusticus, a Stoic philosopher whose influence would shape Marcus' entire life. Rusticus did not teach mere theory, he taught the practice of virtue, the art of self-mastery, the discipline of thought and action. By adolescence, Marcus had earned the nickname Verissimus, the most truthful one. It was a title of respect and recognition. Even as a young man, Marcus resisted deceit, indulgence, and vanity. While his peers dreamt of titles and glory, he dreamed of wisdom. The making of a philosopher-king. Rome at the time was ruled by Emperor Hadrian, a man of vision, intellect, and complexity. Hadrian noticed Marcus' seriousness and character and arranged for him to be adopted into the imperial line of succession. A practice the Romans had perfected, where merit often outweighed bloodlines. Marcus' path to power was not immediate. Hadrian died before he could ascend the throne. His successor, Antoninus Pius, adopted Marcus formally, raising him as his own son and mentor. For over 20 years, Marcus observed leadership up close, its burdens, its responsibilities, its temptations. He learned patience, humility, and restraint. Unlike ambitious heirs before him, Marcus did not grasp for power. He watched, he listened, and he honed his mind. He studied philosophy, rhetoric, and law. He practiced Stoicism daily, not as a theoretical exercise, but as preparation for the inevitable storms of life. When Antoninus Pius died in 161 AD, Marcus Aurelius became emperor at age 40. But unlike many rulers, he did not seize power alone. He shared it with his adoptive brother, Lucius Verus. This decision, born of humility, fairness, and wisdom, set the tone for the rest of his reign. Marcus was not interested in glory, he was interested in justice. The weight of an empire. Marcus' reign began in turbulence. The Roman Empire, vast and mighty, was also fragile. In the north, Germanic tribes pressed against the borders. In the east, the Parthians threatened Roman provinces. At home, famine and disease weakened citizens' spirits. Then came the Antonine Plague, a deadly epidemic, likely smallpox, that swept across the empire, killing millions. Villages emptied, armies weakened, trade faltered. The cities of Rome fell into fear and mourning. Marcus could have fled into luxury, indulged in power, or abandoned hope. But he did not. He turned again to philosophy, writing reminders to himself as he had done for decades. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. These were not maxims for others. They were lifelines for his own soul, anchors to hold him steady in the storm. A life marked by grief. Marcus Aurelius' life was no idyll of philosophical serenity. He married Faustina the Younger, and together they had at least 13 children. Tragically, many of them died in infancy or early youth. 8 of his children would be buried during his lifetime, a grief so profound that even the marble splendor of Rome could not soothe it. Yet he did not harden his heart. Instead, he transformed grief into reflection. He wrote, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." Loss, for Marcus, was universal. The principles of Stoicism allowed him to grieve deeply, but also to continue acting with justice, compassion, and courage. He recognized the fleeting nature of life and embraced each moment with intentionality. Betrayal, loyalty, and compassion. Grief was not his only challenge. Betrayals came from within his family, his generals, and the Senate itself. Many sought to undermine him. Yet Marcus never met treachery with cruelty. He understood human weakness. He knew fear, desire, and ignorance often drive men to act wrongly. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy, he wrote. This principle guided him through governance and personal hardship alike. Where others saw only enemies, Marcus saw the chance to practice mercy, temperance, and fairness. The plague and the people. The Antonine Plague tested Marcus Aurelius as no other event could. He did not seclude himself in palaces. He walked among the sick, sold treasures to fund relief, and showed the people that even the emperor would not turn from suffering humanity. Privately, he faced his own mortality daily. But rather than despair, he used it as fuel for living fully. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. For Marcus, philosophy was survival. It was a tool to endure, to act rightly, and to remain unshaken amidst chaos. Marcus the father, Marcus the son. Though Marcus Aurelius was remembered as the philosopher-king, his personal life was fraught with challenges. His heir, Calmness, was a stark contrast, impulsive, reckless, and unprepared to shoulder the burdens of an empire. For Marcus, the responsibility of fatherhood weighed as heavily as the crown. He nurtured, guided, and educated Calmness, yet he could not shape the man's character entirely. Stoicism offered solace. Marcus understood that he could not control the future or the actions of others. He could control only himself, his thoughts, his actions, his responses. Even as his son's choices threatened the legacy he had worked a lifetime to build, Marcus remained steadfast. He continued to model virtue, embody reason, and act justly, knowing that character, not fortune, defines a life. The philosopher on the battlefield. Marcus' reign was punctuated by campaigns on the empire's northern frontiers. The Danube and Germanic borders were under constant threat, and Marcus often found himself in the field, leading soldiers despite his age and failing health. Even amid the mud, cold, and blood of war, Marcus wrote. By firelight in his tent, on parchment worn thin by repeated use, he recorded thoughts that would later become meditations. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. These were not philosophical exercises. They were survival tools, methods to maintain inner calm and moral clarity while the world outside descended into chaos. The emperor who suffered. Imagine burying 8 children. Imagine walking among your people as a plague claims thousands more. Imagine generals betraying you, senators whispering against you, allies falling into despair. Marcus endured all this without bitterness, without tyranny, without giving in to fear. He lived Stoicism as a daily discipline, teaching through example that virtue is the true measure of a life. Death, loss, and betrayal did not harden him, they honed him. Every grief was transformed into reflection. Every hardship became a lesson. Every day a practice in courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance. The Stoic disciplines in action. Marcus Aurelius' life was Stoicism in motion. 3 core disciplines defined his philosophy. Perception, he trained himself to see events as they truly were, not as filtered through fear, desire, or anger. An insult was just words, a setback was just a moment. Clarity freed him from suffering caused by misjudgment. Action, he lived according to virtue, measuring every decision by wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Every command, every policy, every personal choice was a test of these virtues. Even in war, he sought justice over revenge, duty over indulgence. Will, he cultivated resilience, enduring what could not be changed. Plague, death, betrayal, these were beyond his control, but how he met them was entirely within his power. Obstacles became pathways, grief became compassion, death became wisdom. Stoicism, for Marcus, was never abstract. It was survival, leadership, and guidance in equal measure. Facing mortality with courage. Marcus Aurelius wrote daily with death in mind, not to fear it, but to be freed by it. Awareness of life's brevity sharpened his choices and gave purpose to each action. Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live. While you live, be good. Aging, illness, and mortality were not threats, they were teachers. Every wrinkle, every ache, every loss was a lesson in what truly mattered: integrity, virtue, and service. Lessons for modern life. 2,000 years separate us from Marcus Aurelius, yet his wisdom remains strikingly relevant. Life today may be different in appearance, but the storms are familiar: anxiety, betrayal, loss, temptation, and uncertainty. The human heart remains the same. Control your mind, not events. Chaos will come, but your inner calm is yours to claim. Live with virtue. Fame, wealth, and power are fleeting. Wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance endure. Accept what cannot be changed. Loss, death, and betrayal are natural. Endure them with grace. Transform obstacles into growth. Every challenge can teach, every hardship can strengthen. Even in the modern deluge of emails, deadlines, social media, and endless distraction, Marcus principles apply: pause, perceive clearly, act wisely, endure resolutely. The Emperor within us. Marcus Aurelius ruled the largest empire of his age, yet his true dominion was invisible: the empire of the self. Each of us can govern such an empire: our thoughts, our impulses, our choices. Power over ourselves is greater than power over nations. If we govern with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, we discover the same truth Marcus did, that life's greatest battles are internal, and the most lasting victories are of the mind and soul. The final word. The world will always be uncertain. Storms, betrayals, losses, and fears are eternal. Marcus teaches us. We cannot choose our fate, but we can choose our response. We cannot stop the storm, but we can become the stillness within it. We cannot live forever, but we can live with dignity now. To be human is not to be flawless. It is to act honestly, remain steadfast, and be unshaken by chaos. It is to live well, in agreement with nature, and to rule the inner empire with courage and virtue. Rise each morning as Marcus did, whisper to yourself. Today, I will not be ruled by fear. Today, I will not waste time. Today, I will be just. Today, I will be strong. Do this, and you too walk the path of the Emperor, not of Rome, but of the self. 5 lessons from Marcus Aurelius for modern life. 1. Train your perception, see clearly, free yourself from illusion. Marcus Aurelius knew that most suffering comes not from events themselves but from the way we interpret them. A setback is not inherently painful, it only becomes so when we assign it meaning. Modern application: when someone insults you online, a rude email arrives, or traffic delays you, pause. Ask, is this objectively harmful, or is my mind adding a story? Practice, take a deep breath before reacting. Name the event without judgment, this is a delayed train. Nothing more. Result, by stripping away unnecessary stories, you preserve your peace and act with clarity. 2. Control your emotions, don't let anger or fear rule you. Marcus faced betrayal, political intrigue, and rebellion yet rarely acted in haste or anger. Stoicism teaches that emotions can be observed, managed, and redirected. Modern application: in conflicts with colleagues, friends, or family, notice your emotional reactions before you speak or act. Practice, count to 10, reflect on the facts, and choose a response aligned with reason rather than impulse. Result, you maintain dignity, reduce regret, and foster better relationships. 3. Focus on what you can control, release the rest. The emperor could not stop plagues, prevent invasions, or ensure the survival of all his children. What he could control was his own mind, his own choices, his own virtue. Modern application: we cannot control the stock market, traffic, the decisions of our boss, or global events. We can control how we respond. Practice, each morning, list what is within your power today. Let go of what is not. Result, energy is spent on meaningful action, not wasted on frustration or anxiety. 4. Root your life in virtue, be unshakable from the inside. Marcus ruled not for fame or wealth but for justice, wisdom, courage, and temperance. These virtues acted as his compass, even when external circumstances were dire. Modern application: instead of chasing status, followers, or money, focus on ethical choices, kindness, fairness, and personal growth. Practice, at day's end, reflect, did I act with integrity, courage, and fairness today? Result, a virtuous life brings lasting satisfaction that external rewards cannot. 5. See the bigger picture, your problems are smaller than you think. Marcus Aurelius faced the collapse of legions, plagues, and betrayal, yet he consistently reminded himself of perspective. Death, hardship, and chaos are part of life's natural order. Modern application: when you feel overwhelmed by work, relationships, or personal challenges, step back. Ask, will this matter in a week, a year, or 10 years? Practice, journal or meditate daily, considering your place in the larger flow of life. Result, trivial anxieties lose their grip, and you approach challenges with composure and patience. Applying Stoicism to your life today. Marcus Aurelius' wisdom is not distant history, it is a manual for navigating the modern world. Stress and distraction: pause, observe, and prioritize. Don't let minor crises hijack your mind. Relationships: respond with justice and compassion, even when others fail. Let go of resentment. Ambition and work: focus on effort, not outcome. Measure success by your character, not external rewards. Loss and grief. Accept life's impermanence. Grieve fully, but don't be consumed by sorrow. Aging and mortality, embrace each day as finite. Let death motivate meaningful living rather than fear. The Emperor within. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the greatest kingdom we will ever rule is invisible, it is the empire of the self. You may not command armies, but you can command your thoughts. You may not shape the course of nations, but you can shape how you move through life. Power over others is fleeting. Power over yourself is eternal. The daily practice of Stoicism, perception, action, will, allows you to endure chaos, face mortality, and live with purpose. Each choice, each reflection, each act of courage or kindness is a brick in the fortress of your inner empire. The final invitation. The world will always be uncertain. Storms will come, loss will arrive, betrayal will sting. Marcus Aurelius teaches us. You cannot choose your fate, but you can choose your response. You cannot stop the storm, but you can become the stillness within it. You cannot live forever, but you can live with virtue, courage, and dignity right now. Rise each morning, whispering to yourself. Today, I will not be ruled by fear. Today, I will not waste time. Today, I will be just. Today, I will be strong. Do this, and you too walk the path of the Emperor, not of Rome, but of the self. The empire within is yours to rule, and it is stronger than any external chaos. A daily Stoic practice inspired by Marcus Aurelius. The greatest value of Marcus Aurelius' meditations is not in reading them once, but in living them every day. Here is a simple framework you can follow each morning, afternoon, and evening to cultivate calm, clarity, and resilience. Morning, set your intentions. Begin your day with purpose. Marcus often reminded himself of the challenges ahead and the virtues he wanted to embody. You can do the same. Reflect on control. Ask yourself, what is within my control today, and what is not? Choose virtue over comfort, decide to act with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance in every interaction. Visualize obstacles, anticipate challenges and remind yourself, what stands in the way becomes the way. Example affirmation. Today, I will not be disturbed by what I cannot control. I will respond with reason, act with integrity, and face difficulty with courage. Midday, check your perception. Life will pull you in many directions. Midday is the perfect time to reset your mind. Pause and breathe, take a moment to observe your thoughts and emotions. Separate fact from story, ask, am I reacting to reality or my interpretation of it? Recenter on purpose, refocus on your chosen virtues rather than distractions, ego, or fear. Practice, before responding to an email, conflict, or stressor, pause. Take 3 deep breaths. Answer calmly, guided by reason rather than impulse. Evening, reflect and learn. The Stoics believed reflection was essential to growth. Marcus wrote nightly to measure his progress and refine his character. Review your actions. What did you do well? Where did you fail to live according to virtue? Let go of what you cannot change, accept mistakes and losses as part of life's natural order. Express gratitude, acknowledge what remains, health, relationships, opportunity, the chance to act rightly tomorrow. Evening reflection prompt. Today, I acted with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance in these moments. Tomorrow, I will strive to do better in these areas. I accept what I cannot change. Stoic practices for modern life. Marcus Aurelius' wisdom is adaptable to today's chaos. Here are practical ways to live Stoicism now. Control your perception, pause before reacting. Ask, is this truly harmful, or is it my judgment that hurts me? Act with virtue, in every choice, ask, does this align with courage, justice, wisdom, and temperance? Endure what you cannot change. Face discomfort, grief, and fear with active acceptance. Simplify your desires. Marcus resisted indulgence. Reduce attachment to status, materialism, and social validation. Contemplate mortality. Remember, life is finite. Live fully, love deeply, and act rightly. The Stoic mindset in one paragraph. Every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen your inner self. Life will throw illness, setbacks, betrayal, and death in your path. Marcus teaches that the only true battle is within your mind. Control your thoughts. Choose virtue. Endure with courage. Respond with reason. Let external chaos touch you only as much as you allow. Build an inner fortress so solid that storms outside cannot shake you. Final reflection. Marcus Aurelius did not write meditations for the world, he wrote them for himself. Yet they have outlasted empires, invasions, and time itself. By reading and practicing his wisdom, you too can cultivate the calm, strength, and clarity he mastered. You do not need to command legions to be an emperor. You do not need to rule an empire to rule your mind. You only need the courage to face yourself each day and practice virtue in thought, word, and deed. Rise each morning as Marcus did, whispering, "Today, I will not be ruled by fear. Today, I will not waste time. Today, I will be just. Today, I will be strong." In this way, the emperor lives, not in Rome, but within you. You do not need to rule an empire to rule your mind. The crowns of kings, the triumphs of armies, the treasures of nations, these are fleeting. They shine brightly in the eyes of others but mean little to the soul that is unsettled. True power, the kind that endures beyond marble and gold, is the power to master oneself. To command your own thoughts, to temper your impulses, to meet the day with clarity and courage, this is the sovereignty that no one can seize from you. All that is required is courage. The courage to face yourself in the silence of dawn, when the world is still and the mind is loud. To see your fear, your anger, your doubts, and not turn away, to meet them squarely, acknowledge them, and act anyway with integrity. Courage to resist the easy path, the fleeting comfort, the lure of blame and complaint. Courage to live with purpose, even when no one watches. Rise each morning as Marcus did, in quiet resolve. Let your first breath be a declaration, your first thought a vow. Today, I will not be ruled by fear. Today, I will not waste time. Today, I will be just. Today, I will be strong. Today, I will temper my desires, speak with honesty, and act with honor. Today, I will remember that my mind is my empire, and within it I am sovereign. Consider the world outside, it is chaotic, unpredictable, and often unfair. But within you lies a domain that no storm can breach, no tyrant can seize. Each choice, each deliberate act, each moment of self-restraint builds this inner citadel. The emperor lives not in the marble halls of Rome, not in the applause of the crowd, not in the fleeting glory of conquest, but in the measured cadence of your own thoughts, in the discipline of your own actions, in the calm mastery of your own heart. When anger rises, do not surrender to it. When desire tempts, do not follow blindly. When fear whispers, do not obey. Instead, act as the emperor of your own mind, with patience, with justice, with courage, with wisdom. Each small victory, unseen by others, is a triumph far greater than any battlefield. Every day becomes a conquest, not of lands or people, but of the self, the most challenging and enduring victory there is. Rule your mind, and you rule the world that truly matters. The empire of the soul is infinite, eternal, and unassailable. Build it well, and no power outside can ever shake you.